The terms used to describe work in the digital realm are numerous: digital literacy, 21st century literacy, media literacy, multimedia literacy, electracy, cybercy, multiliteracies. All of these terms gesture toward the awareness that emergent technologies shift the nature of human communication and expression, and yet they all suggest a slightly different rhetorical approach. Insofar as the IML can situate itself historically and not merely represent its work as a break with everything that's come before, we can posit our efforts as lying on a continuum, beginning in orality, moving through literacy, and on to multimedia literacy. Of course, this notion is very much associated with the work of Walter Ong. In his seminal book, Orality and Literacy, The Technologizing of the Word, Ong charts the impact of writing and the ways in which various modes of communication impact human perception. He creates a taxonomy of what he calls the psychodynamics of orality before asserting that writing restructures consciousness. And while Ong's work is not without its critics, it can be strategic to anchor the field historically this way. However, as critical theorist Gregory Ulmer points out, the term media literacy, or multimedia literacy for that matter, is analogous to saying lettered orality. Ulmer suggests using the term electracy, although this neologism is not terribly widespread and it's often problematic as an explanatory term. The IML's recently created minor in digital studies reflects our notion that the term digital studies is preferable to the term multimedia literacy in that it implies natively digital media, things we could not do otherwise, and as such it brings less of the baggage associated with the word literacy. But what is the pedagogy of digital studies? How do we create standards for digital production that are academic in nature but flexible enough to account for the ever-changing landscape of digital technologies and platforms? In the New London Group's 1996 manifesto, Multiliteracies, Designing Social Futures, they suggest an approach that's intended to take into account the current cultural climate, which is characterized by its local diversity and global connectedness. They outline 4 primary practices involved with multiliteracies, and they are situated practice, which includes immersion in the design of meaning from student life worlds and from the larger public sphere; overt instruction, which calls for a systematic teaching of the various forms of meaning, including the tools used to produce that meaning; critical framing endeavors to give students an understanding of social and cultural contexts that shape meaning; and finally, transformed practice allows for the transfer of meanings across contexts and cultural sites. These practices, taken in combination, form the type of research-based practice in which we engage at the IML.